Yes. Good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us from. Welcome to African Women in GIS 7 Days Masterclass Training, Day 2. If you can hear me, can you drop a comment in the comment section so we can proceed? Hello, good evening once again. If you can hear me, can you kindly drop a message on the comment section? Okay, I guess we'll dive right into the business of the day. Once again, welcome to Day 2 training for GIS for beginners, hosted by African Women in GIS. For the purpose of those who couldn't make it to the training yesterday, I'll just quickly give 1 minute recap and what the program is all about. So it's a 7 days masterclass program for GIS, especially for beginners. The agenda and the topics we are covering in this program is introduction to GIS, data types, how do you acquire these data types, including platforms for open source. We would also be looking at familiarizing with the software. We're looking at using QGIS, purposely because QGIS is an open source software, so it's open for everyone and it's free. And we are also going to be looking at geodatabase. Day 3, we are looking at georeferencing, digitizing, and how to create a map. We would also be looking into remote sensing, introduction to remote sensing, image classification, buffer analysis, and hotspot analysis for day 5. And we'll look at land use and land cover classification. We'll also be looking at modeling LST. We would also cover hydrology and watershed analysis and NDVI for vegetation. Like I said initially, the training is free of charge. We are not charging for this training. So try as much as you can to follow us from the beginning of the training. We believe with the courses and the schedule, we believe we'll be able to give back to the community. So for our day 1, which was yesterday, was on our day 1 was an introduction to GIS, which was done by Ayomide, our content creator and mentorship team member. And the second facilitator for day 1, which was yesterday, is Omowonuola Akintola. She's the community administrator and mentorship lead for African Women in GIS. She would also be taking the day 2, which is today, for the training. For day 3, Oluwadamilola will be taking us on day 3 training. She's a geospatial analyst at OEA Consult and also a member of the African women in GIS. She'll be covering georeferencing, digitizing, and how to create a map. For day 4, day 5, and 6 is Chidima Umogu. She is the co-founder for African Women in GIS. She'll be taking us on introduction to remote sensing and image classification for day 4. For day 6, she'll be taking us through land use and land cover analysis. For day 7, she'll be taking us through hydrology and watershed analysis. For day 5, we have a principal scientific officer from National Space Research and Development Agency, Mrs. Susan Ejonye. She will be taking us through on day 5, and day 5 will be covering buffer analysis. On the same day 5, we have a surveyor from Jotanam Limited, Semba Edna. She will be taking us on day 5, which is on hotspot analysis. So she's going to cover hotspot analysis. And we have also for day 6, she will be taking us on how to model LST. Then on day 7, we have Opeyemi. She's a geohazard risk mapping initiative analyst. She's part of the team and also a member of African Women in GIS. She will be taking us on day 7, and she will be covering NDVI for vegetation for most of the agricultural specialists who are joining us. So she'll be taking us through NDVI for vegetation. So that is a quick overview of what the program is all about, and the facilitators who would be taking us through from day 1 to the last day. And for a recap on what we did, we had the introduction to GIS by Olumide and Omowonuola. They took us through on introduction to GIS, how to acquire data sources, data formats. So for those who participated in the training yesterday and those who registered for this training, we have sent an email reminder for today's training. And in the training, we have also, in the email, we have added the PowerPoint presentation for yesterday. So everything that we did yesterday has been sent to everyone through their email. So you should be able to get that by now, in case you didn't happen to make it yesterday. Then for the certificate purposes, we are going to try as much as we can to send the materials and the resources we will be using for this training each day, so that you would be able to use it to prepare, because we are trying to see how we can compile a list of activities we are going to do, list of assignments we are going to give out, and that assignment is a criteria for the certificate would be given out to all our members. So today, I'll just quickly share a brief on yesterday's training on introduction to GIS for the purpose of those who didn't make it to the training. Okay, sorry about that. If you check your emails, you should be able to get the presentations that were carried out yesterday. And yesterday's topic was an introduction to GIS, where we looked at different sectors where GIS can be applied to in agriculture, telecommunication, crime analysis, urban planning, population, and transportation. We looked at a brief history of the application of GIS. We also looked at pioneers of GIS. We looked at what does GIS stand for, the definitions of GIS. We looked at the GIS processes, data collection, how to store data, and the output production. We also looked at remote sensing platforms, ground-based, airborne, and space-borne remote sensing platforms. We looked at remote sensing sensors. We have the active sensors and we have the passive sensors. We looked at the components of GIS, functional definition and the component definition. We looked at the components of GIS. GIS includes people, data, software, hardware, procedures, and method. We also looked at GIS data format, which is the vector data and the raster data. And we looked at GIS data sources. Um, where can we acquire some of the GIS data sources for analysis? So we mentioned quite a few of them, which is Esri Open Hub data. We looked at natural earth data. We looked at USGS Earth Explorer. We looked at OpenStreetMap, Open Topography, UNEP Environmental Data Explorer. We looked at NASA Earth Observation. We looked at Sentinel satellite data for satellite imagery. We looked at the Terra Populus, and we looked at the Grid 3. So some of the data links were explored yesterday. We looked at how to acquire some data from Grid 3, which is from grid3.gov.ng. We looked at how can you download satellite image for a particular location, irrespective of where you are. You can download satellite imagery for your location, which we showed the earthexplorer.usgs.gov, where you can get a satellite imagery. We looked at humanitarian data, where you can get data on population and numerous data for a particular country, which is the data.hgmdata.org. We looked at food data, flood data, world data sets. So they are quite numerous where you can get your data sources. So so now we are going to be looking at day two training. So for today, we are going to be concentrating on familiarizing with the software. Remember, yesterday we said you need to download the QGIS software. So I'll try to, I'll stop sharing and I'll interface looks like. Okay, so for those who have downloaded the QGIS software, we are going to dive right into the topic of the day. And our facilitator for today is Omowonuola. She'll be taking us right into QGIS software and geodatabase. Omowonuola, welcome. Thank you. Please take over.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Inena. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen now. I'm going to share my I'm loading my QGIS project right now. So when I'm done loading that project, I'm going to share my screen. So just give me a few minutes before then. Okay. Yeah. So my QGIS project is still running. I hope everyone has been able to download the software. Yeah. So if you like to follow along as I show the demonstration, you can do so. And if you have any questions, please just let me know so I can. If I'm too fast, you can also let me know so I can take my time with the presentation. So my QGIS is still loading. My laptop has been going through a lot of work today, so it's kind of hanging at the point. But once my QGIS is done loading, I'm going to share my screen because I want to share just that part of my screen. Yeah. So if you were not able to join us yesterday was, I'm sure Inena would have already shared all this already. So we did a little bit of introduction to GIS, and today I'm going to be, I know a lot of people asked about the data types we have. So I'm going to be sharing all those stuff. You're going to be seeing what a vector data is and what a raster data is today, because I know we had that question yesterday. So my QGIS is done loading. So I'm going to share my screen now. Please let me know when you can see my screen so I can. Okay. I'm still sorry, my laptop is hanging. So yeah, you should be able to see my screen now. Yeah.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nena. Nena, please let me know if there are any questions or if I'm too fast and telling me I should take my time.
That's fine.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to ignore this issue I have here. So this is the cute. So this is I'm coming. So this is basically the QGIS interface. Going to close this one right here. Trying to. So I'm trying to drag my. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to start sharing my screen back. I need to quickly fix something um on my QGIS. I'm so sorry for the delay and my internet. I had issues with my internet. Okay, let me quickly fix this thing. Yeah, okay, I fixed it. So I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. Yeah, so this is the QG. Can you see my screen now? Can you
Yes.
see my screen, please? Okay, thank you. So this is the QGIS interface. If you can call it QGIS or QGIS, anyone that is suitable for you, but I call it QGIS. So this is the QGIS interface, and I'm not using the latest version, so you can see I'm already getting. Please download, get a copy of version 3.20. So if you are using the latest version, because some of us downloaded the software recently, I'm not sure if there's been any update on some of the toolbars and panels here. So So if you are using the latest version, it might mostly look the same, but if you have changes, just know I'm not using the latest version, and that might be the reason why. But we'll still be able to do some things together. Yeah, so mm, okay, yeah. So this on the QGIS, you can see this is the menu bar, and we have the two bars. Here we have the panels. Okay, so before I could even start talking about that, so we have like 5 displays, or how do I even put it? We have 5 components of the QGIS interface. So right here, this side we have the panels. Right here we have the map display. At the top where you see project edit view is where we have the menu bar, and here we have the toolbars, and here we have the status bar. So I'm going to be explaining what the functions of each of the components of the QGIS interface. Okay, but before I do that, if you don't see this browser or these layers in your own interface right now, I'm going to show us how um, we can put it here, or how we can toggle it on and bring it to this place. I just want to first go into explaining some of the components of the QGIS software before I go into that. So the menu bar right here, it provides access to some of the QGIS features. And yeah, so we have the project, we have, so this, the project is where you can open a new interface, where you can, if you've been working on projects before, you can open from recent, you can save, you can do save as, you can check properties, you can, if you want to start your map, you can use this part of this new print layout and all these tools or features to do that. But tomorrow, when we go into creating the maps, the facilitator is going to be explaining some of these features to you. So I'm going to just move into the. I don't want to dwell too much on some of these menu bars, because I feel like if you use software a lot, we are familiar with menu bars and toolbars and all those stuff. So I want us to be able to learn a lot on using the software. I won't be dwelling too much into the menu bar and all of this stuff. But I'm going to just be explaining what these components have for and why they are there. So the toolbar, like the menu bar also provides the functions and additional tools that you can use to interact with your map. So that's what the toolbar um, is for. So here where we have the panel, so these two faces, this left side is where we have the panel, and you in the panel I have my layers and my browser, and so they also are just components that help you also be able to do some functionalities in QGIS. And this is your map display. So when I bring in like a data or a map, this is where the display shows, this is where you see it. And we also have the status bar. So what the status bar does is that it shows you your current position in map. In the you can see the coordinates. It shows you the projection of your open map. You can also see the scale, and you can also like see some log messages here. Like if to say that maybe you're working on a particular project and there's an error, you can check and you'll see why you had those errors here, the log messages. So I'm going to just close it. Okay, so now if you don't have this browser panel in your own QGIS and you like to have it, so there are two ways you can go about bringing it. I can actually close the two of them. I can just make my map without having it. So there are two ways you can bring them up to show on your interface. So you can either go to view, you go to panels, then you see browser here. So if I toggle this thing on, you see it comes back here. So you can close it here, go to view, panels, then browser, it comes back on. I can decide to move it anywhere I want to move on my map. I can, if I want to move it here, if I want to move it here, so I can decide to do that. So how you do that is you just click on there's this small square shaped two square shape object beside the close button. So once you click on it, you just click on it, it gives you the access to be able to drag the panel as you want. I can put it anywhere I want. So that's just for that. So the other way you can also bring this panel out is just on any empty space on your software, just right click. If you right click, you can see I have the panels here. So these are all the other features or components of the um, panel components of the QGIS software. You can see I have debugging, layer to other layers panel, statistics panel, temporal control panel, result panel, processing toolbox panel. So, but right, I think the most one I use majorly for work is just the browser panel and the layers panel. So you can also toggle the layer panel, or you can see it's already back here. So if I close it, I can come here, just right click on any empty space up here. Yeah. So just right click on any empty space up here and you'll be able to toggle your layer panel on. So it's here. I can move it up if I want. Maybe it's too small. Just all you have to do is just click on, you move your cursor to the edge of the layer panel and then you just drag it up. So you can drag it as up as you want to. You can drag it down. So this is how this part of the software works. Yeah. Do I have any questions yet?
Yes, someone says I can't see anything, please bold it. But I think maybe the person just has to increase the size of their screen. Then
Yeah.
maybe you can take it slow. So
Okay.
you can
Yeah,
just
thank
take
you
it slow
for.
so that they
Mhm. Okay. Yes. So thank you for that, Elena. And so let's move into the next thing. So if you want to like now start a new project, let's say you are done working with a particular project and you like to start a new project, there are two ways you can go about that. You can just click on this, okay, or you can come to this place and you see new project, or just use the Control N, which is the shortcut for creating a new project. So if I click on that, because I have an empty project here already, it doesn't really do anything. But if to say that maybe I was already working on a project before then, it will ask if I want to save my previous project. If I say yes, it will save that one automatically and open a new project for me. So this is another way you can also come about to open a new project. Yeah. So let me see. I just want to make sure that I'm going to be like sharing the most important thing that I feel like we need, because I don't want to dwell so much on all of the um toolbars, because you might not get to use all of the toolbars. So it depends on the analysis that you're working on, or the project you're working on, that will determine what kind of tools that you'll be needing. But I'll just be sharing some of the basic ones that you get to use daily, that are very very common, and I think everyone knows how to use them. So right here we have okay, let me try and so before I actually go into all this, I want to make sure that I bring a map, or like a data into my map display or map view before I start to share, because I feel like there's no point if I'm just using a blank space to be showing all this too. So I'm going to first add um, layers to my map display before I now start to talk about all this toolbar. So the two ways that you can use, there are several ways you can use to add data into your um, QGIS interface, or your while you're working with a QGIS software like this. So the first way you can go about it is this browser panel shows you your local disk. So if you have more than, because I have two, yeah. So if you have more than that, you'll be able to see them here at this browser part. So what all you can just try to do is just you it depends on where the data you want to work with is actually. But the data I'm working with now is in my C panel. So if I just toggle this thing down, so it brings me into my computer my local disk. It takes me to my computer local disk. As you can see, these are all the things I have in my local disk. And I know where my data is. My data is in users. So I know where my data is. My data is in this place. Yeah, so this is the data I want to work with. So you can see I already put it beginner QGIS training. So you just, if you do this, it will show you all the data you have inside that folder. So if I go
Sorry
into, okay, I can't do
to
that because
come.
I'm sharing.
Sorry to
Sorry.
come in. I think there's a concern. I think there's a concern. Maybe
Okay.
you can try
Okay.
to slow down a bit because the whole section is for the QGIS interface. Because whatever we are going to do subsequently, if they don't know how to use this interface, it's going to be kind of
Oh, okay.
challenging. So maybe they are suggesting you
Yeah.
take it slow, so they understand, they follow you, and
Oh, okay.
also you can zoom your screen a bit. I think that would be
Zoom my
amazing.
screen. Oh, so they can't see my screen, right?
Yeah, they can, but I think it's a little
Hello,
bit
in
tinier for some. Yeah, but it's fine if you can zoom it, it's fine, but it's okay. But maybe you can just take it slow, so that they'll follow you one after
your
one.
voice. Sorry, I didn't get that.
So I mean, maybe you can take it slow so that
Hello,
they will
sorry, I didn't
follow
get
you.
that. Okay. I'm not sure I really know. I think I'm not sure I know how I'm going to make this larger. So this is. I don't think I've tried making my screen larger than this. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to
Okay,
do that.
okay, that's fine. So maybe you can take it
But
slow for.
okay. So let me I think we now okay, so I feel like maybe we now understand the five components of the QGIS software. So like I mentioned, this is where the map will show. This is the map display, and these are the menu and the toolbar. So these are the panel components, and this is the status bar. So like I said, I would just like to dwell on the most important thing that I feel like would be very helpful and moving forward with our training. Um, so when I came here, so I'm just trying to show how we can add data to this QGIS, to this interface, because like I mentioned, I would not like to use all these tools not and we will not be able to see how it works. So there's no way you'll be able to see how this zoom in or zoom out works if I don't bring in a data here. So that's why I said I would like to bring in a data for us to be able to use it to show us how all this um menu and toolbar works. So now when I came here, I'm trying to show how that there are two ways we can get to bring our data into the QGIS interface. So the first one is, you can see the browser panel. If you did not get how I brought this thing in, like I said, there are also two ways you can bring in your panel. You go to, is either you go to your view, you go to panels, and you'll be able to bring in any panel that you like to work with. But majorly I work with the browser and the layers panel. So that's why I have my browser and layers panel here. If I would like to add more panel, I can add this panel. It also like shows here I can move it up or move it down. So but because I majorly like use these two panels, I'm more familiar with them. So that's why I'm using these two panels to explain how to bring in your panel component into this part. And like I said, you can also move them as much as you want to. Yeah. So let's move on. So if you want to add data, I'm going to go slow now. If you want to add data into your map display components of the QGIS software, so like I said, there are two ways you can do that. So the first one is, if you know where your data is, like I know where my data is. The data I want to use for this training is in my local disk. So your own might not say C, your own might say D, but it doesn't really matter. Just know where the data you want to work with is located. Once you are able to identify, or you know where your data is, all you have to do is just click on either your local that disk, or it could also be an external disk. Just click on it and navigate to where your data is. So I'm trying to navigate to where my data is because I know where my data is. So that's what I was trying to do before. Your data could be anywhere on your disk, it could be anywhere, but because I want to navigate to where my own data is, my data is in users, and that's why I can either click on it or I can just use um this arrow button to open up the folder. So I'm just like trying to open up the folder so that I can go into where my data is. So I can either right click on it or I can toggle this arrow down and it will show me all the other folder I have in my user folder. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm only trying to navigate to where my data is. And like I said, this is where my data is. This is where the data I'm working with is beginner QGIS training. So I was the one that created this folder and I put my data inside this folder. So now I want to also like open up this folder and see where the data I want to work with. So, like I said, either I use this arrow to toggle down or just double click on it. So, any way that you feel like
Sorry, I think her network has just tripped off. So from the comment section, I can see people are following. Please, if you are following, can you kindly drop a message so that we would know that we have people who are following on the training. If you have any challenges, we are trying to respond to some queries and some emails. If you have any issue with the QGIS or anything you want us to rectify, we are also here. You can drop a message on the comment section or drop an email, and we'll respond to you as soon as we'll get them. So please, if you're following, can you kindly comment on the comment section if there's anything you want us to improve on? If you're following on the training, kindly let us know so that as soon as she comes in, we would go back to the training section. So I know it's going to be very hectic for most of us because this is the first time we're seeing such interface, the QGIS interface. So try as much as you can to follow us. But at the end of the section for the day, the video will always be here in the YouTube, so you can go back to any part you have missed before. But as she was saying, um, even the presentation, we'll try as much as we can to send it across to each and every one of us while we are waiting for her to join back in a minute. Okay, so from the comment section, someone said she's too fast. Remember, we are practicing as you teach. Yes. Thank you very much, Jeffrey. We have taken note of that. Well, looking at the time constraint too, we are trying to see how we can unpack the QGIS as much as we can for today. But the good news is today is just for the QGIS software, because if we have a very good understanding of the QGIS software, I think from tomorrow it's going to be very, very easy for us. So that is why she's trying to um, cover up all the most important parts of the software. But if you have downloaded the software, remember we sent an email with the link to download the software. For those of you who have not downloaded it, try to download the latest version, which is the 3.20 now. So once you download it, open up your software as we're waiting for her to come back online. Try to go through the interface so that whenever she's saying it, it's easier for you to recognize most of the toolbar. So I'm trying to let her in again. Sorry for the disruption. That is one of the challenges we have for internet meetings and online meetings. Okay, she's joining us. She's joining us back. Someone replied and said, "I have the software 3.18." Yes, it's fine. It's fine. If you have the 3.18, it's fine. You can download it. If you have the 3.20, they're basically the same. So anyone is fine as long as you have it open and you are trying to follow up with the training. Like we said from the beginning, the reason why we are going for QGIS, I know it's not a familiar software for most of us, is because it's open source and it's free for all. Um, ArcGIS is there for S3 that we can also use for GIS analysis, but when it comes to cost, it's better we go for QGIS because most of us don't have access to S3. So we are trying to see how we can use the QGIS free. You can learn at your own pace, So yes, somebody asked, is this video going to be made available? Yes, at the end of the section, the video is going to be on the YouTube page, but just try as much as you can to subscribe to the YouTube page. So whenever a video drops, we have a section coming up live again, you would be notified as soon as we do that. So yes, the video will be made available. So while we're waiting for her, if you have any question so far, even if it's from yesterday, you can drop a comment. We can follow up while we wait for Omowonuola to join us back.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm not
So
really sure what
someone,
happened. I didn't know I was okay. Sorry.
yes, welcome back. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I didn't know what happened. I didn't know I was no longer live. But
Okay.
thank you for. So I'm going to share my screen back now.
Yes, someone said
Can you see
you're
my?
fast. Can
Oh,
you?
okay, I'm fast. Okay, please.
Yes,
Can I know exactly
yes.
what you want me to? What you want me to say, or where
No,
you're lost, so I can know how. Okay. Yeah. So okay, so this is a vector data for people that were asking what a vector data is. So this is a vector data, and I will show you very soon why the difference between a vector data and a raster data. But I just want to make sure that because I feel like one thing we need to understand when you're using QGIS is how to add data to our map display, because that's where we start when we are working with this software. So that's why I'm taking my time to explain the many ways where we can add data into our map display. So please let me know exactly where you want me to repeat myself, so that I can come back and try to explain. So like I said, this is just one way for us to add map to our display using the browser panel and coming to our local disk and navigating to where our map is on our local computer. So another way to add map to our map display is to use this layer menu. So this menu toolbar is a layer menu toolbar. So once you click on it, you will see add layer, and you will see the types, all the types of layers that you can add. You can add a vector layer, raster layer, delimited layer, PostGIS, and all other type of layers that you can add, XYZ layer, and all sorts of layers you can add to your map if you, depending on the analysis you are trying to create or the project you're working on. So like I said, you come to your menu bar, this layer part, you say add layer. So because I'm also like going to be adding the vector layer back. So I'm going to click on add vector layer, or you can just use the shortcut Control plus Shift plus V. So once I click on add vector layer, it opens up a display. You can see this display now. So it opens this display up, and you can see say source. So it's telling me, okay, you want to add the vector data set. Where is the source of your local of the data set you want to add? My source is my local computer. So I'm going to use these three dots to navigate to my local computer. Is almost like the same process for the browser panel. So I'm going to navigate to my local computer. You can see say browse. So I'm going to browse through my computer and go to where my data is. There's a simpler way to actually do it here, but because I'm sharing just my QGIS project, you won't be able to see it. So let's just navigate to where my data is. So I'll come to browse. Okay, so you can see this is my local computer. So this is my local disk, like I mentioned, that's where my data is, and you can see it's the same thing. Local disk, this is C. And when I was using this browse panel, I went to user. So I'll go to user here as well. Open user. You remember when I opened my user, I said, oh, my data is also in my user. So I'll also open the user here, and this is where my data is. So like I mentioned, I
So
put
please,
the data. Okay, should I? Hello, Nina.
can you slow down a bit? A lot of people are saying we are fast, so maybe we
Okay.
can slow down a bit.
Okay. So now this is another way I'm trying to add my data to the map display. So you come to layer, and because we have a lot of data sets or a lot of data types that we use in GIS um, field. So because I'm trying to add a vector data, so when I come to my layer, I'll see add layer. So when I come to add layer, because I'm trying to add a vector layer, I'll pick add vector layer, or use the shortcut Control plus Shift plus V. So I will say add vector layer. So once I add my vector layer now, well, once I open that, it brings to me like a long box like this. And like I mentioned, I need to navigate to where my data is on my laptop, so that the software can be able to see where the data is and bring it in for me. So I will try to browse through my local computer to get my data. And like I mentioned, like I said, when I was using this browser panel, I already mentioned that I have my data in my local disk. So yes, this is my local disk, and it's also like the C here, you can see. So what I'm trying to do is just use another way to navigate to where my data set is on my computer. So like I said, my data set is in my local disk, is in my users folder. Your data set could be here, it could be anywhere, but I put my own in this place. So that's why I have to open a lot of folder to be able to access the data set. So this is where my own data set is. Your data set might be in your document, it might be maybe a data set you just downloaded, or maybe you just put it on your desktop. But because I have my own data set in my local disk, that's why I'm navigating to where my data set is. Like I mentioned, your data set could be anywhere on your local computer, but because I have put my own in my local disk, I'm trying to navigate to where my data is, and that's what I'm going to be doing now. I'm just going to be opening all the folders that are there before my data set. So I'm going to open this user because that's where my data set is. My data set is in this place, and this is my data again, and I've seen all the things I saw when I opened up this place. So I'm just trying to say they are the same way, like you are doing the same thing using just different processes. I navigated to my data set from QGIS using this browser panel, and I had to open up the folder directly on my laptop using this add layer. So that's just the difference between the two. They are doing the same thing. So now I'm going to add this shape file. um okay, let me add this admin boundary. Okay, so this is my data set. So you see, it's the shape file that you saw before. This is the shp. So the shape file is a data format in QGIS, and it has other formats that makes it possible for us to be able to use them. So these are some of the other data set that makes it possible for us to be able to use this shape file. You have the projection, the PRG, and you have the database. Yeah. So these are like the two most important data set that must come along with your shape file. So once I click on it, I'll just say open. So it opens it here, it brings it here. So I can see now. So QGIS just navigates for me like I did before. Just put all my the folder, so it will be able to grab the data set on my local computer, and I'll just say add from this place. I'll just say add. Okay, invalid data source. Okay, yes, let me do that again. Yeah, so I'm going to reduce this one so I can see. So it's good. It say had. Okay, so it has added my shapefile, my data to the my map display. So that's another way for you to add data. Is it you can either use the browser panel or just come to the menu bar and use the layer menu bar, the add layer to add your data. So this so I've added 3 data now, and so you can see, so you can come here to the layer panel, and you'll be able to now do some others, interact with your data, the data you added. So you can either toggle it on or toggle it off. So you see you can move your data sets. Yeah, you can toggle this one on as well. You the reason why you don't see this one is because is an hierarchy thing. So the layer that the data you put on top is the one that comes on top. Yeah, so you won't be able to see this, but if I move this one down, you'll be able to see this. If I move this one down, you'll be able to see this. So it depends on how you want your data to be displayed in your map display. That will determine how you actually had your data, or the way you set them in your layer. So let's say if you are working on 3 different data set now, this one is a line feature. So if I okay okay, so you can see now I have my line feature on top, and then I have my polygon feature below it. So if I toggle it on, it goes away. If I toggle it on, it comes back. If I toggle it off, it goes away. If I toggle it on, it comes back. So that's how you do if you don't want to work on this particular data for now, just toggle it off. So you'll be able to do anything you like to do, or do any analysis you like to do with these other data sets. Do I have any questions for now? Am I still fast?
Yes, yes, you are still
Okay.
fast because some people are trying to follow. So maybe you
Um
can slow down more. Yeah, for
okay,
them.
so I feel like
And then
yeah,
how did you get the data set?
okay. Oh yeah, like I said, I downloaded the data set from the one of the website I showed yesterday. If you check through, yeah, that's where I got data.omdata.org. That was where I downloaded the data set from, and I downloaded it today. So if you like to download the data set, you can just go to data.omdata.org. Inena, you can let me share that in the comment part. So now now I can now use this to explain. Okay, let me add my raster data. So I'm going to add my raster data just the same way I added my vector data. So I'm going to come to add layer, but because I'm adding a raster data this time, I'll say add raster layer. So if you joined the tutorial yesterday, they already explained raster and vector data for us. So this is all just adding those data into our data set. So the reason why I wanted to work with both raster and vector data is so we can be able to see the differences between the two data sets. So I'm going to add my raster layer. Because of time, I'm just going to navigate to where my data is. So okay, okay, yeah, okay, okay, I'm coming.
Okay, so while you're doing that, maybe you can
Yeah, I'm
also
going to
um,
also do what?
briefly explain to them. Then someone was asking, there are two panels.
Mm-hmm.
There are two
Sorry.
panels, the one
Mm-hmm.
up and there are two panels, the browser panel and the layer panel. I think that's what she means.
Okay.
Aminu. Okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he is asking, is it optional, and why are they different? Are they different? Do they have different function? So the panel, the
Yes, like
browser
I
panel
said.
and the layer panel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, yeah, thank you. So, like I said, there are a lot of panels in QGIS in the software. These are all the panels that you can see on top. You see panels and you see toolbars. So, these are all of the panels that you can work with in QGIS. So, the reason why I have my own in browser and layer is because these are like the two ones I normally use. So, I just put them here because I don't, there's no point me always coming to toggle them on or off once I want to use them. So, I frequently use them. So, that's why I have them here. You can remove them if you want to. No, there's no rule to it. You can put 10 layers or panels here if you want to. Is depends on what you want to do and the kind of jobs you want to do. So if I, like I said, I can just do this one. This is another panel I just added, and it's for statistics. So I can decide to also add processing. Okay, I will go to that. I can decide to also add which one will also. Okay, you can see this one has already been added here. Already been added here. Yeah, so it depends on what you want and what you feel like is comfortable for you. There's no rule to it. There are no rule to it. These are the two panels I make use of frequently. That's why I have them here permanently. That's how I work with them. So when I try want to make use of other ones, I don't make use of normal. I just do this and just toggle them on because I like my interface to be very neat. That's why I just like to work with little panels so that I don't have to.
Okay, yes,
Um,
yes.
yeah, so that's why.
Permit me to to also come in. I think he asked in terms of functions, what is the difference? Because for the person that asked the question, the browser section is
Mm-hmm,
different and the layer section is different. So the data that is on the layer is what you are currently working on, that is going
mm-hmm,
to be displayed on the QGIS platform. And the browser
mm-hmm.
is where you have access to the data itself, the folder, the database, and if you want to connect it to any other
Yeah,
access. So that's the
server
difference when it comes
online. Yeah.
to function.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you. Yeah, I think yeah, I missed that. So if you want to like work with any other data sets or connect your like you see browser, so it's just like the browser you have on your or the one we make use of. So if you want to use more web-based or data set that are like in a server or on a server, so this is where you normally that's where you have the browser. You can browse through them yeah, but if the layer is just a place where all the maps or all the data you're working on, that's where you see them, that's where you are able to interact with them, that's where you can do your analysis with them, that's where you can change colors, that's where you can make edit and manipulate all those data. This is why we have the layer panel. So they just give you access to be able to interact with your data sets. So that's the major difference between the two. And thank you, Inena, for adding that as well. I missed that. So I'm going to add my raster data again. So yeah, I know what happened. The I don't. Okay, I'm just going to set the coordinates. Yeah, okay. Before I do that though, so this is the this is okay. Yeah, I know why I didn't. Okay, yeah. So this is the raster data set, and you know when I added this data, you saw that it didn't like come up on the map like as when I added the other two. So if I remove it now, if I remove it again, yeah, I'll show you how to remove the data set. So you will see that when I okay, so I will add the other layer back, that raster layer, so you can see what I'm trying to say. You see that is actually in another place on my display. So the reason why this is happening and somebody is going to take you on that is because this map, as you can see right now, does not have any coordinate reference system. So it can never fall anywhere near this map because it has not been georeferenced. So the QGIS software does not actually know where this thing I'm showing falls on the surface of the earth. So that's where you can see that like they don't fall on the same place. But once you georeference this data, so what georeferencing means is that you are giving this particular data, you are giving it the coordinates, or you are setting it to the place it falls in on the surface of the earth. So it falls directly on top of this. So tomorrow, I feel tomorrow the person that is going to teach you on digitizing and georeference is going to explain deeper into why we need to put when we need to give our data a reference system, and the importance and the type of um, systems that we have. So I feel the person is going to explain that. But because I want us to be able to do a lot today, so I'm not going to dwell so much into that. So this is a raster data. And like I explained yesterday, if I zoom into this data now, you can see that all the information on this data set are pixels. Like you can see that a lot of pixels make up this data set. So you can see that this let me try. So you can see that this particular line that looks like white and purple, these are the pixels that make them up. You can see if I zoom in. So that's what a raster data is. A raster data is a pixel based data. So those pixels, they are always very much, and they come together to form the data set. And you can see, like, I cannot do anything with this data set. I can just zoom in and zoom out and just move it. I can't do any editing, anything on it. So the people that created okay, let me toggle it off. So I want to now show us something. So you can see that this is a map. Okay. Okay, so this is a map showing the boundary of Nigeria. Yeah, so if I toggle this on again, so you can see that this is the raster format of this data. So this is the raster format, and this is the vector format. So this is a vector data, and this is a raster data. But you can see that they are showing the same thing. I'm talking about the boundary of Nigeria. So this is the vector data showing the boundary of Nigeria, and this is a raster data showing the boundary of Nigeria with the state, showing the boundary and the state. So this is a vector data, and this is a raster data. So that's the difference. So the reason why we have this data like this, because somebody worked on maybe something, a raster data, they digitize the data, they georeference the data, and then digitize the data. Tomorrow is when you are going to learn how to digitize a data set, and how to georeference an image. But I'm just like trying to show the difference between the vector data and the raster data set. So this is, like I mentioned, this is a vector data set, and this is a raster data set. There's barely nothing I can do on this data set. Yeah, but I can actually do a lot of things on this other data set. So I'm going to, I hope we now understand the difference between a vector and a raster data set. Yeah. So I'm going to remove my raster data. So if you want to remove a data, once you add a data, you can remove your data, and you can rename your data. Also you can also zoom to your data. But so I want to remove this raster data set. So I'm going to right click on it, and then I'm going to see remove layer here. You can also duplicate the data. But let me remove the data set now. Yeah. So like you saw that when I brought in my raster data set, my data went very small. So if a quicker way to zoom your data is just right click on it, and you will see zoom to layer. So it just zooms to your map extent, to your display extent. So so right click on your data set, and then you say zoom to layer. So um that's what I've been doing, where you see that it just comes on. So now let me move to this toolbars and this menu bars, and show us how we can also use some of the um, tools here. So you see that I've been able to move my map around like this. So, and you can see that this is the arrow, the button or the feature that I've been using, this thing that looks like a hand. So the reason why I've been able to do that is because I actually turned on my pan tool. Yeah, so this is the pan map. So if I okay, let me do something now. What can I do? You see that once I click on another thing, the pan you see is no longer on, so I'm unable to move my map. Yeah, you see, I can't move my map again because I'm already, you can see that my map, there's no way I can move my map. I can't move it anywhere again. So the reason why I'm able to move my map up and down is because I'm using this pan tool to pan my map up and down. Okay, sorry about that. Let's just move on. Yeah. I think I'm
Okay.
sorted.
Yes. While you're still sorting that, maybe you briefly show you can see the attributes of the data, and someone is also asking how can you add a CSV data to form a map. So maybe if
Oh
you have
yeah.
any CSV data that has, yeah, so that
Mm-hmm.
they can know how to convert raw data
Okay.
and
Yeah.
use it on the interface. Then tomorrow when we are building with map, they will go more in depth into it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for that. So, if you have a CSV data that you like to add, okay. So before I go into that, let me show you the attributes of the data set. I feel I'm taking my time with so you know that we have data sets. So this data set actually has attribute data, and attribute data, like attribute data, are just data that tells us more about the data. They shows the attributes that this data is made up of. So if you want to check the attribute data for this particular data, just right click on the data set that you want to check for their attributes. You will see open attribute table here, and yeah, so this is the attribute table that for this data set. Okay, let me use one that has maybe more attribute table. So you see open attribute table. So these are all the, you can see admin name. So okay, so you can see admin name. If I click on it, it shows you can see. So you can also select your data set. So let me open my attribute table again, um and just try to make it very small so that you can see what's going on here.
I think when you
So
open your attribute table, you don't see
mhm.
any,
Oh,
you
how do
don't
I
see
do
any.
that? Oh, okay. So you can see my attribute table.
No.
Wow.
So I think it's because you are
Okay.
sharing just
Just my, yeah.
one sheet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, let me
Okay,
try
it's
and,
okay. Maybe
is
you
there where I can
try.
share? Sorry?
You can carry on.
Is there where I
Just
can
go ahead.
oh, but okay. Let me try and find a way to share. Maybe I can share the attribute. Let me see if I can do more than one share. Okay, I can't. Okay. So what, let me try and find a way around it. Mm,
You
let
can
me
just
see.
tell us. You can just tell us how to find the attribute. So maybe with your software they can go around it.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's perfect then. Yeah. Okay. So let me go back to, yeah. So but you can see that one of the features or the attributes on this particular map is actually selected. So how I did that was when I opened my attribute table, I just picked, I just highlighted one of the, I wish they can see the attribute table because I don't know how to explain it. But what can I do? Okay, let me just move on. Yeah, so once you open your attribute table like this, and you'll be able to select your what's is deselected because I was selected. But another way you can actually also work on selecting your data set is if you come to the data set you're working on and you do toggle editing. So the editing mode makes your data, makes it easy for you, or make it you gives you access to be able to do some other analysis on your data. So if I do toggle editing, so this is the editing toolbar. You see, let me you see that this 1 2 3 4 5 6, they are like they are off, like they are not showing, like they're not bright, they look like they are dead somehow, if that word is something I can use. But once I click on my toggle editing, they come alive. You can see they come alive. So this tool right here is a tool that you can use to select features. You see, so you can either select features by polygons, select features by freehand, or select features by radius. So if I do select features now, I've clicked on select feature. You can see I toggle this thing down. I picked on select features. I can be able to select my features. So this was what this was the same thing that happened when I opened my attribute table. You can select your features from your attribute table, or by toggling your editing and selecting the feature that you want to select. You can select multiple features, like we do when we use Microsoft Word. When you press, or when you use any document, any web document platform, or yeah, so you can just press either shift or control. So once you click on, but before you can select, you need to actually you need to click on this select tool, because if you don't select, you can see that my cursor is the um pan tool. So for every time you want to use any of these tools, you have to make sure that you click on them. So you see that once I click on this pan tool, you can see that highlighted. If I click on my pan tool, if I click on this one, the pan tool is no longer highlighted and this one is not highlighted. So I can click select multiple features. I can just select all the features that I want to select, and just to click more as I want to. So I can decide to like select all. Yeah, so this is how my features map display space. All my selection just goes offshore. And the reason why this select features help is, if you're in Nigeria, Nigeria has like 6 geographical zones. So let's say I want to create a map of all the geographical zones in Nigeria, and I want to be able to create their maps separately, like 6 maps. So I can just select all the, let's say I want to work on southwest. So forgive me if I don't pick all the states in southwest. So I can just, this is Lagos, I'm so sure. So I can just pick um let's say I have like just this number of um of features in south, or yeah, of the data set in southwest. Yeah, so once I click on them, I can right click on the data set I'm working on. You can see that it is the only one that I have toggled on. It is the only one I have toggled on. So you click on the data set that you selected, and you come to this export. So when you come to this export, you can export your data like this. So you can save your selected feature as another shapefile, or as any data format you want to save it as. So let's say I want to save these selected features because I want to be able to work on them and create maps showing the southwest region of Nigeria. So that's why I want to now create a feature out of this larger feature. I want to be able to pick all the southwest region in Nigeria and say I want to create a map showing all this southwest region. So I'm going to come to this export part, and I'm going to do save selected features as. So once I click on it, it opens the save vector layer box, and I can save my the selected feature in any format I want, either GeoPackage, shapefile, any data format that we normally use in GIS. But I'm going to use shapefile. So once I do that, I can say, okay, I'll now browse to where I want my data to be saved on my local computer. So once I come to this browse, yeah, so let's say I want to save my data in on my desktop. Say, okay, so I just want to save it on my desktop, and I want the name to be Southwest Region, Nigeria. So once I'm able to do, I can also, yeah, you see, so I have it as a shapefile, like a shapefile that I opened before. So once I save this, it shows that, okay, so it's just showing this is where I have my data stored. So I have my data stored on my desktop, on my computer, as somewhere region of Nigeria. So if I want to add, so I can choose to either to add this layer I'm trying to save to the layers here, or I can choose not to add it. But because we are assuming that I want to create a map, so it just makes sense to add it so we can see how it works. So I can just say okay. So once I say okay, if I unhighlight this, it has brought out those southwest region of Nigeria out for me, and now I can create a map. I can change the colors of these ones now. I can change their colors. So I also like want to just quickly show us on how we can also like do some symbologies before. Okay, they would actually, the person taking the training tomorrow will show us on how to create maps, and also if you want to create a map now, you can actually change the color of your map and be able to also do some other symbology on this map. But for the sake of time, let me just not do this. But I feel we understand that we can also like clip out part of our data and make analysis out of them. It depends on the project you're working on. It depends on what analysis you're trying to do. So there are a lot of functionalities that you can use this QGIS software to do. But we won't go into all of them because of time, and because just a beginner class. And so I feel like learning the basic is actually what we need to learn. So for the person that asks about how you can add data that is not that is CSV. Yeah, definitely you can add a CSV, you can add an Excel data, but you should know that QGIS will only take your data if it's in .csv. Because we have different Microsoft Excel data formats. We have that .xlsx. So your data can only be in CSV before you can actually add it to QGIS. So if you want to add any CSV data or any Excel data, you just come to add layer, like I said, and you just add delimited text layer. So once you click on it, let me see if I have any layer that I'm not using that is oh my god, that okay, I'm quickly going to create a layer now that is CSV, because I don't think I have any one that I can actually use. So I'm going to quickly just open my Excel folder, and quickly create CSV out of that, so I can show you how you can bring in that data and then save it as a shapefile. So now I'm coming just okay. I'm going to save it as, so you can't see my screen. So I'm going to just save it on my desktop. Where can I save it?
Well,
So I'm trying to save. Yeah, you can just go. Mhm. Yeah.
yes, please. If you have the opportunity, can you also slow down again a bit so that we can also follow? So what I mean by slow down is if you select this, you tell us why you are selecting it, so that people who don't
Sorry.
even understand the software can also follow.
Oh,
So what I meant is that yes, can you slow down a bit more?
maybe. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, like I just want to. Okay, because it's because of time, and I just want to make sure that we understand. Yeah, but thank you for that. I think I will slow down. So okay, so I think I've created my CSV file. So I'm trying. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to add my CSV file to my to the QGIS interface, to the project I'm actually currently working on. So like I said, you can come to add layer, and so if you want to add CSV layer, you use this add delimited text layer. So I'm going to navigate to where I saved. Where was it? Okay, I'm trying to remember it. So I'm going to navigate to where I saved my layer. Okay, just give me a few minutes. Trying to remember where I saved. Yeah. So I'm going to navigate to where I saved my layer now. Okay. So this is how, so this is the file name. So I'm trying to go on my laptop to see where to actually add my layer, the layer, the CSV file I'm trying to bring into QGIS. So this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to browse to where I have my layer so that QGIS can grab that and then add it to my map, to my project. So I'm going to pick on this browse, and I'm going to navigate to where I stored or I saved my layer. So this is it. Yeah. So now you can see these are the, yeah, so these are the data that are actually inside that CSV folder. You can see QGIS already, like you can see sample data. So these are the layers I have in my CSV folder, in the folder that I just shared, that I'm bringing in rather. So now I can see them, so I know, okay, yeah, I can be sure, okay, this is the data that I actually want to use. So I can just say add here. So this is the data set. It has added it, but you can't actually do anything with this data now because it's a CSV folder. But you can actually open the attribute as well and be able to. I know you can't see my attribute table, but when you open the attribute table, you'll be able to see all the features or all the attribute information about the data sets that are actually just brought in. So now, if you want to now export or be able to work with this data set, you have to save it or export it as a shapefile or geodesy or any file format that you want to use to analyze the data set. So like I said, so you just right click on the data that you want to work on. So if you want to work on any data, all you have to do when you right click on it, to be able to see the things you can do on that data, either you want to copy the layer or rename the layer or duplicate the layer or remove layer or move it to top, move it to bottom, or export or do styling or check the properties of the data set or change the data source. So once you just right click on the data set, you'll be able to see all the things that you can actually do with the data set. So now, if you want to now be able to work on this Excel or this CSV folder, since I'm not joining it to any other folder or any of the other layers I have, so just right click on it, come to export, then you now save your feature as, so you pick how you want to save your feature. Okay, is it a shapefile? So you can also save this layer I added before as a CSV if you want to. So it goes both ways. So it depends on what you want to do. So let's say you have a polygon feature, and but you need to also like do some analysis with it in Excel, or just want to do some more analysis with it on Excel, or maybe you want to do anything you want to do with it on Excel. You can also convert or export that polygon feature or that shapefile also as Excel. So it's the same process. All you have to do is just right click on your data, come to export, save feature as. You will see all the format you can save your feature as. So if I want to save this one as CSV now, I just come to comma separated value, that's CSV. So once I do that, and I go to where I want my data to be stored. So the file name here is where when you are telling the software that, yeah, I want you to save this data in a particular folder. Let's say maybe you have a project you are working on and you want all your data to be in one particular file. So you don't have to be saving your data in different parts of on the different parts of your computer. Like say maybe one will be in your documents or one will be on your desktop. So you can just navigate to where maybe your project folder is located on your laptop, and you can just I can go to where my own project is on this laptop, and I can save my folder there. So like this is what I've been working on. So I just come to the file name. What name do I want to give it? NGA CSV. So that's the name I want to save it as. So I just say save, and I'll just say okay. So it has, can you see that it has converted it to a CSV as well? So if I go here, if I open the data set from my computer, okay, you can't see my computer. Okay, but let me now try to show you from the browser layer that the file is now already, let me see, it's already there. Okay, it's not long, it's not okay, but if I now try, like I want to let you see that the data has actually been added as CSV in my on my local computer, but because I'm only sharing my QGIS screen, there's no way I can show that. But you can already see from here that this format and this format, they look the same. So this saying that I now have my folder in CSV. So you can now move your folder. This you can open the CSV on your computer and start working on it with Excel. So it's the same way if I want to now convert an Excel file or a CSV file to a shape file. So I just come to export here and I pick save feature as. So when I pick the save feature as, um because I got this data set um, um from data.org, and then yeah, so I can see that it's saying invalid projection because I've not I don't because I didn't set the projection for this actually. But I think the person that will facilitate the training tomorrow we talk all about projection because they'll be the one telling you how to digitize and georeference, and that's where you need to learn about projection. So if I now want to save this CSV as shapefile, so all I have to do is just come to my format. So this is where you're now telling the software that yes, the format I want to save my data in is a shapefile, or the format I want to save my data is in GeoConcepts. I've not used GeoConcepts before, so I don't know what that is. Or the data or the format I want to save my project or my data is in GeoJSON. Or the format I want to save it is in any other format that you feel like you want to use it for. So just change it to any format that you want to use it for, and then you like I mentioned, you give it a file name. What name do you want it to be? Where do you want it to be on your computer? I want it to be in the project that I already opened before. So I just say Zambia because the Zambia data. So Zambia underscore shape file. So I just say save. So and now so I also add it to my map. So if I don't want this thing to actually add to my map, I can decide to toggle this on. So when I toggle this off, by the time I put okay, it will not add it to my map. So but because we are doing a training, so it makes sense for us to be able to see the output of our analysis or our expertise. So I'll just say okay. Okay, it's still processing. Yeah, but that's just how. Okay, layer. Okay, I guess I didn't remember to toggle it back on, but it has already said layer exported. Successfully saved vector layer to the folder. So if I go to my folder now and I click on vector layer, go to where I save my Zambia, you see it's already here. But okay, so I know the reason why it didn't actually like work perfectly is because I feel the data set does not have any coordinate um, column that is used to convert the data set to a file. So that's why it did not work. If I You can't see my attribute table, but if I open my attribute table, you can see that the data set only contains name and yeah, just names of places in Zambia and shape and length. There's no coordinate to actually for the QGIS software to use to convert this data set to a shapefile. So that's why you see that the shapefile folder did not was not successfully created. But actually, it created it, but it just does not have the shapefile format. Yeah. So I think I hope I've been able to answer that question. So I can, since I'm not using this data set, I can just remove them here. So if I want to remove any um, data set from my layer, I can just right click on them. I just say remove layer and just say okay. Then I come here as well. I'm not using any of this, so I say remove layer and I say okay. So the data set that we actually exported, I can just so we can keep working on this data set. coming. Okay. Yeah. So I went to the attribute table to deselect all of the features that were selected before. But I hope you now understand how we can do a little bit of analysis with our data set. So let's go to the properties of the data set and check through. Since you were not able to see my attribute table, I feel like you can actually come here to field, so you can see the data set I have in this the data set. You can see the columns and the rows I have in the columns I have in my data set. Since you were not able to see my attribute table, so these are all the attribute table column that I have in my data set. So I have the country name, I have the country code, I have the admin name, I have the admin code, and I have this um shape area and shape length. Yeah. So there are other things you can actually do here. So if you want to add a new field, say maybe you want to calculate something from your data set and you want to add a new field, or you want to add, say, anything, another field as an attribute table in your data set. So all you have to do is just, you can see this new field. So once I click on new field, I'll be able to add a new field to my attribute table, and I can give it a name. Say I want to add maybe name of governors in all the states in Nigeria. So name of governors. Governor name. I'm going to now I'm going to now set the type of the data type for my data, because it's governor name and his name, so it will definitely be a string. And I'm sure we already understand some of the data types we have. We have string. So string are text. So if you are saving your data as text, anything that has to be text, it will be string. If you are saving your data with anything that has to be decimal, you use decimal. So let's say you want to calculate the length of a particular area, or you want to add that field as a new field in your data set, because it's in decimal, so you have to pick the data type as decimal. If your data, and when you pick decimal, it will now say, okay, what is the length of your data of your data type, and what is the precision? That means how many decimal number do you want to come after your data set. So let's say I want my data set to be in three decimal places. So I can say 10.10333. So I will set my precision to be 3. If I want it to just have 1, I will set it to 1. So it depends on the analysis you're trying to do and the type of data we are working with, type of field you want to create. But because I want to save a text data, so I just change this one to text. I can also like edit the number of length, or the number of string, the length of string I want my field to accommodate. So let me say 100. So once I do this, I just say okay. So it just creates a new field in my attribute table. So the reason, because I can't open my attribute table, so I feel like it will be great for us to be able to use this to actually see how what the attribute table almost looks like, and the type of data we have in the attribute table. You can also delete fields. So if you want to delete any field, maybe a field that exists and you feel like it's no longer necessary for your analysis, or you feel like you don't need it again, you just click on the field you want to delete and just come to this place. You can see delete field. So once you put your cursor on any of the two, you'll be able to see the thing that tool will do. What does it do? So this one deletes field. So if I just click on delete field, you see that the field is already there, is already gone. So that's how you can either delete or add new field. So if you also want to edit some of the fields that you have already, maybe the name, you want to change the name to something that is not there already, or you just feel like, oh, let me change the name so that people that review the data in the future will be able to understand what the particular column is doing. So you just double click on it and you just put the new field you want. So let me say add me. if you just press enter, see that my field has already, I've already changed the name of my field. And so this is how you change the name of the field. I can decide to change the name of all my fields if you want to, but this is how you change the name of your fields if you want to. You can decide to change the name, and you can see that for each of the field, you can see the data type that they have. But this one is a string, is a decimal, and is a decimal. You can see 1.2. So it's saying 1.2 is saying this is a decimal. You can see ABC is a text and is a string. And you can see the length of all the string. You can see 50, 50, 50, 50. You can see the length of the shape, 18, and you can see the position is 11. So this is how yeah, this is one of the things you can do in the properties of your data. So I'm going to close this one. So so let me show you how I got there again. I just right clicked on my data and I went to properties. So when I came to properties, I toggled on field, and I was able to do a lot of changes to the attribute table and change the field name as I wanted to. So some other thing that you can try to do is label. You can also try to label your map. So let's say now, because you were not able to see my attribute table. So let's say now I want, maybe somebody does not know Nigeria, and I want them to be able to know what kind of state, or is which one is Lagos, which one is Anambra or Kaduna or Sokoto. So labeling is one way, is a type of symbology. It's symbology, and is a way for you to be able to show that. It also helps when you're creating your map, and that's how you can also use that to pass information across to the people that will be using your map at the end of the day. So I can just come to properties, I come to label. You can see that this one says no label. So when I click on when I toggle this down, I will see single labels. So it will ask me that, okay, in my data set, which of the field do I want to use to label my map? So if I click on country name, you see that the label will be Nigeria for all of it, because it's a the data set is data set of Nigeria. If I apply it, you see that everything is Nigeria, because I say when you want to label this map, use all the information you have in my country name to label. That's why you see Nigeria, Nigeria, Nigeria. But yes, we know that this is a map showing Nigeria, but I don't want my label to be in Nigeria. So I can just come to properties again, and when I come here, you see country name, I can change. So it's because you're not able to see my attribute table. We would have gone through the attribute table together. So I want to use my admin name. Let me see if that's what has all the states, carrying all the state names. Yeah, you can see now it has changed, because the admin name is the field or the column in my attribute table that has all the name of the states. So that's why you see that when I pick admin name as use all the fields in my admin name to label this map, you see that it changes to all the data that we have in the admin. So you can see this is Oyo Oshun. So this is how to label your map and be able to see some of the information or symbology for your map. So this is one way that you can go about it. Okay, yeah. So this is how you can go about it. Yeah. Okay. So um, let me also show properties and okay. So you can also do some other analysis on your labeling. If you don't want, you can change the text. You can change the style. Do you want it to be in bold? You can change the font of your label. If you want it to be, let me just put sans serif. You can change the size. You can change the color. It depends on what you want to actually do and how you want to style your map. So this is what I get when I change all the properties of the labeling, when I change the color and so this is what I get. Okay, yeah, okay. Mm. Yeah, so yeah, when you add your CSV to your QGIS, it doesn't create a map for you. The only thing you can see is just the attribute table for your CSV. It doesn't automatically create a map for you. So what you can do if you want to now use your CSV in a map format is you have to export that CSV as a format that can work as a map, either Shaper or GeoJSON. But if you bring a CSV, it doesn't automatically create a map for you, because when you saw that when I brought in my CSV, it didn't create a map for me. Yeah, so I hope the person that asked that question um has um has been has the answer to it. Yeah, so let's move on now. So let me actually so if you now want to like remove the label, you can just come here and just say no labels, and when you apply it, you see that all the labels are gone. So if you want to zoom your map with all the I was actually going to go through all this, but because of the questions and time, so if you want to zoom your map, you can just click on this zoom. This is zoom in, and this is zoom out. So if I want to zoom it out, I just once I click on it, I just click on my screen and just keep zooming out. If I want to zoom it in, I can do the same. Just click on, okay. So if I want to zoom it in, yeah, it keeps enlarging. So I can just keep clicking on on the map display and just keep zooming it in. So that's how you use the tool. You can also use it by, if you want to zoom out, you can just click on the zoom out button and just like draw like the extent, like a polygon like this around it, and just zooms it in. So if I want it to be very, yeah, so the larger if you draw a very large shape, it will zooming out very small. But if you draw a very small, it will go in. So you can also do for zoom out. Yeah, so if I, yeah, yeah, so that's how to do zoom in and zoom out with your in your software. Hmm, I'm trying to see. Okay, so yeah, let me also mention that, because QGIS is an open source project, so we have a lot of contributors that are working to develop the software and create plugins that make it easy for people to be able to do some analysis. So you can also download plugins with your QGIS software. So it depends on what you want to do. So one of the facilitators will be using one of the plugins, and they will show us how to use them. But if you like to download a plugin on QGIS, you come to this plugin part, come to manage and install plugins. Yeah, and so you see all the, I hope you can see the plugin box. Hello, Inena. Hello, Inena. Okay, yeah, it's showing. Yeah, so this is the plugin box. Let me go back to my pictures. Yeah, so you can see these are all the plugins that that people have actually created just to make analysis very easy. So it depends on the one that you want to use. You can definitely use all of them, but it depends on the project you are working on the type of analysis you want to use. So you can go online and read more about, maybe you see a plugin or you just want to do analysis, and you can just write online and check if the plugin for that kind of analysis already exists in QGIS, and if it exists, you'll be able to download the plugin. So let's say I want to download. Let me just pick one plugin to download. Filter. Okay, let me just see. Okay, say layer board. So once you click on the plugin that you like to use, you see some little bit of information about what the plugin does. So this plugin helps to see and modify properties for vector and raster layer. So you can see. So once, if you now want to install the plugin, all you have to do is just come to this downside, and you'll be able to install your plugin. But I don't have to install my plugin because I don't know if I'll be using this one. So just click on your plugin, and then you'll be able to see the information, a little bit of information about what the plugin does, what you can use the plugin for, and the available version for the plugin. Then if it's a plugin you like to use, you will then install the plugin, and you will be able to use it. You'll be able to see it in all of this place. So these are all the plugins that I have installed on my own. um
I think her network is having issues. So I'll while we are waiting for her to come back, maybe we can try to answer some of the questions. So someone is saying, how do I differentiate various states with different colors on my data set? So you can do that by going to you right click on the data set. Remember, on the layer tab, you right click on the actual data set you are working on, then you go to properties, then you go to symbology. So when you go to symbology, you should be able to assign different color code to all the states. Let's say, for instance, you have a map showing different states. You should be able to color code it according to the state. Then someone is saying, I have tried with a CSV file that has coordinate points, but I don't see the map. So tomorrow we'll be dealing with creating map, and the CSV file will not give you the map outrightly. So what it does is, if you have a CSV file and the CSV file has the coordinates, so the latitude and the longitude column, which is representing the X and Y. In coordinates, we have X, Y, and Z. So the Z is the height information. So we have the X and the Y. So if you have a CSV file that has a column XY or a column latitude, longitude, you can, from watch her tutorial, if you're following, you can go from the browser, locate the data, the CSV that you are working on. So when you locate the data, you drag it to your layer point. Like I told you, the actual data you are working on should be on the layer tab. So once it's on the layer tab, what you can do now is you now convert the CSV file to a point data. So I'll quickly share my screen on that so that I'll show you what I meant by that. So if you can see my screen, can you indicate? Yes. So this is the QGIS interface, right? So if you look at these two open panels here, this is the browser and the layer. So the actual data set you are working on, it's supposed to be on the layer part, which is the down one, and the browser is where you can locate the file. So once you find the file, you saved it anywhere, maybe documents, download, desktop, you can see here. So depending on where you decide to save your GIS file you're working on, you can now locate them on the browser, drag it, and drop it on the layer panel. So once it's on the layer panel, your CSV file, I actually don't have any CSV file here on this system. I would have just shown us. So if you have your CSV file, now you go to the top layer where there is processing. So from the top layer, there is processing menu. So if you click on the processing menu, you should be able to locate the toolbox. So from this toolbox, processing toolbox, it gives you all the functionalities you would ever think of you want to deal on the GIS interface. So from here, you can decide to search. So if I search point here, if I click on the search here, you will see under vector creation, you will see create point layer from table. So what it means is I'm trying to create a point file. The only thing you can do with that CSV at that point is to create a point coordinates of the location of whatever you have captured. So you have to create a point layer. It has to be a layer and a point. Now we are moving from CSV to a GIS file format now. So you create a point layer using when you create click on the create point layer, it will ask you which layer are you looking at. In the file, in CSV there is columns and rows. So it will ask you which of the column has the x coordinate. So you locate it with the drop down. You locate the exact column that has your x coordinate, and when you select that, you go for your Y field and select. If it's a data that has height, which is the altitude, you can also select it from here, and you click on run. So once you run, you will get a new layer here, which is a point file. So talking about CSV not giving you a full map, for the person that asked that question, CSV will not give you a full map, but you have to follow a series of processing steps. So the first step is for you to create a point using the coordinates and convert it to a layer. Now you have a point layer. Then again, when you are done with that, you have to bring in a map. Let's say for here, I have a UK map. So you have to bring in a map of the location of where the point data is falling. Now, it depends on where the point data is. We have highlighted different data sources where you can download. So this is a shape file, which is also a vector file format. I can see some people are having difficulties differentiating between a vector file and a raster file. So this is a vector file and it's a shape file. So you go to humanitarian data or grid 3 and look at the particular location you want. You download the shape file. Once you download the shape file, it gives you this kind of interface like mine. Then here you have your shape file, then you overlay your point data on top of it. So when it comes to this layer part, whatever you put on top, it serves as overlay. So it's like a first in, last out kind of process. So if I have a Nigerian map and I have a point data different from the map, if I put the point data a little above my map, so when I'm producing my map, which we are going to share more details tomorrow, when I create my map, the point data would now overlay on that map. So on this right panel is where you would see all the processing tools for it. So someone says mine has 2 columns, longitude and latitude. So fine, these 2 columns you have is going to give you less information, because what are you trying to represent? Like we told you, GIS is a science. So you have to add value to the data you are trying to produce. So if I have a data set that has a longitude and latitude of what? So I can add more column in the CSV file, right? And say this is X coordinate, Y coordinate, and the next column is, let's say I'm sampling soil structure. So this is loamy soil. At this point is this soil, so that when you are trying to produce your map will make more sense to show that this is the point data I'm showing, and what point data am I showing? Your data already has it when you are creating it. You like the way someone said, how do you differentiate color? You can differentiate color for this type of data set. It is a vector set data set. You can also differentiate the color for point data, data. Then another question here is it because I don't have shapefile data for my country? Not exactly. So like I said, it depends on what you're trying to map out. So if you just want to map out point, it's always good you put the country. If it's the whole country point data you're mapping, it's better you download the shapefile of your country, or you can split your data like Omowonuola explained, where you can select some particular area, let's say Nigeria, and I can select a particular state which I want, then overlay my data in. So most of these things are what makes meaning to the map we are creating. So yes, you can get a shapefile, overlay your points so that your map will make more meaning. But the reason why your CSV is not showing is not because you don't have a shapefile. So then another question. Sorry to take your time. Trying to see how we can pick more question. Where can I locate the attribute table? I think we've answered that question. You right click on the data set and you will see attribute table. So in the attribute table is where you will see your rows and your column, which is representing different information on your file. So I think we have answered most of. I have a data set in CSV. Can it also form a map? Yes, like I explained to you, bring in your CSV file into the layer panel, in the layer panel, the one beneath, and you try to create point layer from table using the processing tool. From this processing tool, you see a list of tools you can use to process your data by the right on as I'm showing on the screen. So since the session is recorded, yes, the session is recorded. You can come back to it and watch the videos. So it has other things like the CSV file, I guess, has other things like names of farmers, but on the processing toolbox, which do I choose? So on the processing toolbox, choose create point layer from table. When you create point layer and you're using your X and Y coordinate, it doesn't mean that your layer is only going to contain X and Y. It's also going to pull all those information. But create point layer is asking you which point do you want me to create. So when you're selecting the create point layer table, make sure you select the actual column that has your X and your Y coordinate at the same time. I don't know if I'm making more sense. Um, then still trying to see if we have any other question to answer. I think we have touched base on most of the questions. So tomorrow we are going to go to georeferencing. So how do I put a data on my QGIS platform and georeference the data and create a map? So things like having a CSV file and creating a map. So another way you can add a CSV file into your QGIS portal is by going to add data source. So if you go to the menu, I can only share one screen at a time, so I had to screenshot this. So if you go to add data source, look at the menus here. You can see add vector, add raster, add mesh, add point cloud, add delimited text. So the point of emphasis here is the delimited text. So CSV falls under the delimited text. So in case you can't find your way to drag and drop in the layer panel, you can go to the delimited text, drag it and drop it on your layer panel, or you can select the data source from here, click on the delimited text and find and add it from here. So you can see beneath under select and input file. So you click on it and find where the file is and you add it. So your CSV will now be on the layer. So it will still remain as a CSV file in as much as you've added it, but you now have to use the processing tool to convert it into a point file. So when it becomes a point file, that is when it's now in a GIS format, which is a vector format, because point, like we said on day one, point lines and shapes are vector file formats. So I think that is that on the CSV, but you can take your time and go through the video from the beginning. Maybe it will give you more ideas on how to add the CSV file. So apologizing again, because of the time constraints we have on this program, we're trying to, as much as we can, touch on every aspect of this QGIS and GIS and the basics. So the remaining part of it, if you have the software, you have the video, you can just go through it and follow it one by one. So tomorrow, like I said, we are going to georeferencing, digitizing, and how to create a map. So most of us that have questions on how do we create map and whatnot. So tomorrow we are going to show you how to georeference, and for just the purpose of knowledge sharing, I will just share with us one thing I think we should also know or bear in mind, so that in case tomorrow when we are doing the georeferencing, you're not left behind, is that when you look at the QGIS platform, like the one on the screen here, you can see that from the browser menu, there is what we call the XYZ ties. So I'll remove this as a layer now. So if I remove it, which Omowonuola told us how to, you see this is just a plain UK shape file. So if I want to add world map or we call it base layer because it shows you where the map is, or the shape file or the point file you have created is, you just go to XYZ ties, you just drag it, drop it, and you know, put it beneath the map, because like I told you, the one on top goes on top of the map, like I said. So now you have UK and the open street map here. So you have a map of all the locations. So the more you zoom, you can see other locations. You can see UK, you can see Africa down here, you can see Nigeria here. So just with the XYZ tile, you can, so that whenever you place your map or your file here, you'll be able to locate it. So if there is any other question that you have, you can reach out to us via email. You can also drop a comment on the YouTube channel. Then we will try as much as we can to attend to all the questions that you are sending. We have also been responding to some questions online since yesterday, and we have also shared the presentation that we used yesterday. So the PowerPoint has also been sent across. And whenever you see our email, I'll apologize for the future. Whenever you see our email, it's just to give you a reminder that this is what is going on. We are starting the meeting in 30 minutes or in 1 hour time. So for those who don't have the QGIS, make do to download the latest version 3.20. And for those who have it, you can just walk your way around it while we're doing the training. Try to look at most of the data sources and how to download them. We have shared. Download the data, practice with it. If you happen to get any challenge along the line, reach out to us or reach out to the facilitators in any of the days, and we'll try as much as we can to answer every single question. We are not going to miss your question. Should we miss it, please call back our attention either via email or via the chat box, and we'll answer your questions. So tomorrow we're looking at georeferencing, digitizing, and creating a map. And tomorrow would be handled by Oluwadamilola Salao. She's a geospatial analyst from OEA Consult and also a member of African Women in GIS. So as usual, thank you very much. We are about to round up the section. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for showing interest in this training. We hope we are reaching out to your expectation. So tomorrow, we'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. GMT +1 tomorrow, and we'll take it up from there. So thank you very much and have a lovely day.